Evan Engram watch is officially on in the Mile High City. We're going to talk about where things stand with Evan Engram, the Joker in Sean Payton's offense, and how the Broncos can land him. Plus, we're updating you with all the latest news in Broncos free agency, and it all starts now. We're celebrating on the DNVR Broncos podcast today because at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, the new league year in the NFL starts. And so we're going to celebrate it on today's show when we are the DNVR Broncos podcast live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And I got Ryan Koenigsberg to my left. I got Henry Chisholm to my right. We got you here behind the camera, and Zach Stevens rocking and rolling with you today. Fellas, do you celebrate the new NFL league year?
No.
Wow.
No. Again, I don't know how I would celebrate, I guess. We'll get official contract numbers for some of these free agents, I guess.
Yep.
I celebrate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you celebrate?
Just a huge party.
Wow.
Wow.
At 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
And I haven't been
You
invited?
didn't invite me, yeah.
That's it must have gotten lost, I guess.
Yeah.
You know how like the Chinese New Year they have that like dragon?
Yeah.
I do that, but it's just the NFL shield.
Oh, wow. So Goodell loves you.
Yeah. I'm all about the shield.
Wow. You could even do it wearing a Greenlaw jersey today because his contract will become official.
It's true. That's very true. I mean, a lot of things just become official, and for me, I don't believe anything until it's official.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So there's lots to celebrate. All the trades go through. It's a big day.
True.
You know what's crazy to me is because these past 48 hours are weird because it's called the legal tampering period, and they implemented this a couple of years ago because teams were illegally tampering a few days leading up to free agency officially opening. So they said, you know what? We know this is happening, so let's just make it legal, but it's still tampering, which kind of implies illegal. But then now what happens is now illegal tampering happens before the legal tampering window opens. But what surprises me, so teams, when they agree to contracts, just like the Broncos have with Hufanga, just like the Broncos have with Greenlaw, just like the Broncos have with a couple of other guys that we'll talk about today, they actually haven't signed their contract. That can't happen until today at 2 p.m. It surprises me that there's not more deals that are agreed upon and then broken for guys to go sign with other teams. I'm surprised that hasn't happened more yet.
I mean, the Broncos had 2 last year with Justin Strnad and Will Lutz. Both agreed to go to other teams, then decided to come back.
Yeah, but that happens like within like 5 minutes. I'm surprised like it hasn't happened like over like hours where then other teams
Right.
reach out. But you're right, that did happen last year. The Broncos went and stole their guys back.
Is there an unwritten rule about that? Because I feel like I haven't heard like 2 days later, like actually he changed his mind. There was the Randy Gregory situation.
True.
Yep.
I can't remember exactly what went down there, but I do remember it was
That's
like dicey
true.
at the end.
So it has happened. Really, the Broncos have been involved in many
Yep.
of these. And for when Sean Payton's involved, it's Sean Payton picking up the phone and being like, well, you're not going to Jacksonville. Come on, tell me the number. We'll get you a little more than that, and you're coming back here.
Yeah, it reminds me of a story that Coach Prime told last year about a player who entered the portal. He's like, he entered the portal without even talking to me. And then I talked to him. I was like, bro, what are you doing? And he's like, you're right, coach. I don't know what I'm doing. And then he came back.
College kids are, no offense to any of you out in college out there, they're wild to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, again, covering college football is just like a different world. And especially like the recruiting aspect.
Think about your decision making at 18 years old.
Oh, totally. But then
fair.
also like thinking back to the time when I was like 25 and it's like, oh, Buffs are trying to get this like 17-year-old receiver to commit. Better talk to him and see what's up in his life. And it's just like, oh, chemistry's difficult. Like these are like, tell me all about your life. And, yeah. No offense to any college kids out there.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, having to deal with chemistry does not sound fun. So I have sympathy for everyone out there. Maybe the Broncos will be able to flip things around. Whoa, you got your ear on screen.
Wow. Oh, you're not here. Where'd he go?
He's
Where'd he go?
Show yourself, you here. How long do we think that was happening for?
I don't know.
Barely happened.
Sure it did. It looks like he was in the comments.
So maybe it'll happen with Riley Dixon. He has agreed to leave the Broncos and sign a contract with the Buccaneers. The Broncos offered him a contract, and then he slept on it and said, nope, I'm going to take a bigger contract. I believe it was bigger with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Broncos tried to sign Brian Aubrey, the really good punter from the Cowboys, and he said no to them and went back to Dallas, but those deals haven't been officially signed. So maybe Sean Payton will pull out some
I think
magic.
it's Brandon Aubrey.
Brandon?
It also might have been, is it Brian Anger?
It's Brian Anger. What did I say? Brandon Aubrey? Brandon Aubrey's their kicker, actually.
Okay.
It's Brian Anger. You're right. Thank you.
Jeez, that was a real
That's
mind.
confusing,
I was gonna
though.
let
They're
it
both
go.
BA names.
Because when you said it, I was like, something sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Brandon Allen.
Yeah, there's Brandon
Broncos
Allen.
legend.
Who else? Who other BAs are there?
I don't know.
Some badasses on this team now
Yeah.
with
Wow.
Greenlaw and Hufanga now. So, yes, Brian
You got it.
Grew up with a kid named Brian Atkinson.
You got it.
Aubrey.
No.
Anger. He's
Oh,
angry.
good thing he isn't a Bronco. Otherwise, that
Yeah.
could be a.
Oh, that would be a nightmare. Yeah. So
Yep.
maybe Sean, don't go out and sign him again. The Twitter chat's helping me out with that one. It's Brian Anger right there. So maybe we'll have a Stonehouse sighting in Denver. I know that's who the local people, at least half the local people, the ones that are from Colorado State, want the Broncos to get, and that's a very realistic option now because there's not very many punters out there right now, and the Broncos need one. So the big kid or big leg from CSU, Stonehouse, could be a Bronco.
What's Marquette King up to?
Oh, you think Sean Payton would want anything to do with him? No.
By the way, speaking of Sean Payton wanting things and not wanting other things, watching that clip of Bo Nix with the bread basket, which was incredible, by the way.
Yeah.
He
Is
did
that
get
the
kind of
name of the two guys he was talking to?
Yeah.
I was like, I was been trying to think, like, what was he walking around with a bread basket? Like, what is
No.
happening?
Are they from Colorado?
They are from Colorado.
With the bread basket.
And
Okay, I get it.
guarantee you, just based on what I saw, like, Bo watches that all the time. Like, he fit in so well. It wasn't like a random thing where he just agreed to do something and didn't get it. Like, he got the show.
Yep.
Or the bit, whatever you want to call it. But watching that, I was just thinking, like, man, I bet Sean Payton hates this.
Probably, yeah. What do you think of his draft? Taking popcorn number one
he
overall
got-
in terms of what, stadium foods?
Yeah, he got cooked in the draft.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a rookie going up against seasoned veterans. And
That's
as we know from
true.
last year, it took him to like week 4
Yep.
to understand, the game. Also, I feel like it was a bad draft for him. I know they were kind of trying to like make it work for him being an athlete. He's on the field. He's not in the stadium.
That's a good point.
And so like all of his picks, he was just saying were like what his wife does.
Yep,
Totally.
Yep.
And I think on top of that, like, I think if you look at it through the lens of this is my quarterback, I like his draft a lot better. Like, I don't want to see my quarterback out there eating nachos out of like a little container, like with shit on his hands and like trying to like,
Big one drinking beer. He passed up on beer.
Like, I'm happy. Like, yeah, eat your popcorn. Like,
Yeah.
popcorn's like a cool little like snack. It's not like all messy and.
As the great philosopher Von Miller once said, you can't put regular fuel in a Ferrari.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
can't get your fingers all
it's a really
sticky if
good
you're a
point.
quarterback.
But
Looks bad.
the only thing I disagree with you on is his very first pick was popcorn. You don't want your quarterback to have Butterfingers.
Yeah,
like,
but
Better than your
that's-
wide receiver though.
Yeah,
That's
it's
true.
you gotta just think less literal or more so like you see him sitting in a Nuggets game. I just don't want the optics of like my quarterback just having nacho cheese all over his
And then him
hands.
sucking on his fingers.
Yeah, or like
to-
whatever you got, or like sitting like this. Like I sometimes have to, where it's like I don't have a napkin. Like
You
what am I
sit
gonna
like
do?
this at games after you
No,
eat something.
well, like if you eat,
I could actually see like Henry with like cotton candy fingers at a Rockies game. Just being
Exactly.
like,
cotton candy.
And then,
I'll-
like,
see
I
hell.
don't. Yeah, you know what you
I
would do?
never
Lexi,
wanna
can
see
you-
him.
Can you lick these for me?
but just eating
someone give me a
popcorn
napkin?
easy. Or like what else did he pick?
I don't remember.
Pretzel, maybe.
A pretzel. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
Coke
that's
was the
that's
last
way
one.
cleaner way to get your nacho cheese.
Yeah.
Beer being available and not going number 1 overall, huge L.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
go-to at stadiums is chicken tenders.
That's
and
a
that
good
didn't
one.
get picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
that's like
we're
a
in a
one
chicken
hand
te- yeah.
on the holder, one hand on the tender.
Yep.
Very simple.
That's true. Yeah. Man, I don't really know. Stadium food.
We'll have to do a full draft.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe this Friday
All right.
we can back it up, and now we know what options are on the table, which ones they haven't taken, and let's dive. Oh, a great one from CJ. Orange Crush
True.
could be a great stadium food beverage.
That would have been a pander.
Chris says, shout out to
Would've.
Breadbasket Elite Content Creators. They did something that was the dumbest thing, but also my favorite thing maybe I've ever followed, called the Jonathon.
Okay.
And they just each got to call, every day they got one more. So first day you get to call one random number and ask if it's John. And if it's no, then just go to the next day. And the next day you get
Wow.
2 tries. And I
Wow.
was so locked in waiting for them to find a John.
Wow.
Are you just dialing totally random?
Yeah, they're just dialing like a random mixture of numbers on their phone.
Wow.
How long did that take?
I think it was like day 16.
Wow. You know, you said you were bringing the EJ vibes back to this show. Just good vibes. We got to dial up some fun, different things
Love it.
like that we do on this show. And we also do talk about Broncos, and there is some Broncos news. Plus, we've got the Evan Engram watch, and let's dive in to all of this Broncos news after I tell you about our new friends, and it's our new friends over at Green Chef, where they are the #1 meal kit for clean eating, delivering pre-portioned and prepped quality whole foods with limited processed ingredients. That's what we all want in our diets. Healthy, easy, sent to us. Green Chef sends organic, fresh produce, responsibly sourced proteins, and chef-designed recipes in every box for satisfying, nutritious, and convenient meals that make it more easy to stick to clean eating routine. That's what we're all about. And if you've worked with HelloFresh in the past or currently, you must have Green Chef in your life, because Green Chef is going to give you so many fresh ingredients, and that is key. One of the things that you definitely want to look at with Green Chef is use code Broncos free over at greenchef.com/Broncos free, and you're going to get 50% off your first 2 months and get free salads with those 2 months and 50% off your first box. That's greenchef.com/Broncos free. Use that code Broncos free over at greenchef.com.
And shout out to our friends, more new friends over at Timeline. You might be wondering what Timeline is, because this is the first time we're talking about them. It reminds me of, do you remember when John Gruden was mic'd up and he was like frustrated with somebody and he just yelled, "My life is running out of lifespan"?
No.
No, it was an
No.
incredible moment.
Okay,
It was like
I
a
believe
Hard
you.
Knocks type, because he was just upset about whatever. It's like, my life is running out of lifespan. And it just made no sense, but it was funny. Essentially, what Timeline does is prevent that from happening. They sell health and longevity supplements with their proprietary MitoPure ingredient. The way it works is you just take the pill, and it helps to reverse age-related decline. It increases strength, energy, endurance. They've done 15 years of research, secured 30 plus US patents for their products. I mean, the cells in our bodies, they're building blocks of life. They focus on the science and figure out how to turn that into a pill to make things easier for you. If you want to go check it out right now, Timeline is giving us 10% off our orders of MitoPure. So go to timeline.com/DNVR today to get started. And that's timeline.com/DNVR.
And speaking of DNVR, I want to give a shout out to us over at DNVR. We are doing a special free agency frenzy discount for you. Go to thednvr.com to sign up. Click the link in our description as well to get you straight there. And we typically, it's $79.99 annual pass. Typically, it's on sale for $36. This is the best sale that I can remember, and that includes a discount at the bar. In fact, it includes a free t-shirt. You can get your t-shirt here at the bar if you want to as well, so you don't have to wait for it to ship, and of course, we'll also ship it to you. It gets all the perks. It gets all of our content. Henry's doing great film rooms right now over at thednvr.com, and as we transition into draft season, you're going to want our draft guide. It's the most comprehensive draft guide that you're going to find anywhere. And then we're going to personalize it for the Broncos specifically. So you get a national draft guide that then is specialized for the Broncos specifically. You are going to want to get your hands on this, and you can do that over at thednvr.com. When you become a diehard, you can scan the QR code on our screen. And again, we're running a deal right now. I don't know how long it's going to last, so you want to sign up right now. Use that code or go to thednvr.com to join us. And one of the things that you can get over at thednvr.com is our tracker. And we are 45 hours into the legal tampering period right now. And boy, I would say with the moves the Broncos have made so far, the future is incredibly bright with this team.
So bright, Zach. Brought some sunglasses from Shady Rays.
Wow.
I mean, how could you not think the future is bright right now? The Broncos have the best defense in the NFL on paper. They finally got their quarterback, which we've been waiting for damn near a decade.
Yep.
They have the ability, whether it be through the draft or through the rest of free agency, to keep adding weapons on the offensive side of the football. And then they can go into the draft and just draft the best players. The future is so bright that I might even need extra polarized glasses for my friends over at Shady Rays. It's unbelievable.
Can we get the one shot on Ryan right now? Ryan, just deadpan into the camera, just straight at. Oh my god, dude, you're looking too cool. You got to take those
Wow.
off. And what I'll say about these Shady Rays, you can't tell from this one shot, but because they look a little tortoise, which they are.
Yeah.
These are orange and blue sunglasses.
They are.
They're the coolest orange and blue sunglasses because they look just like normal sunglasses, and then when you get close, you see the orange and blue coming through too.
And what's really cool about it is you can actually get them for 35% off by using the code DNVR over at Shady Rays.
And
That is really
then you'll
cool.
have a little bit more money for Ryan. You to get a banjo. Ryan in the Toyota chat says you would look pretty sweet with a banjo right now.
Sick.
Yeah. I'd say
Wow.
like maybe electric guitar is
Yeah.
what I think you're looking like.
I'm more of
like
an
a
acoustic
ukulele.
guy, but
Yeah,
these
that's
actually,
true.
I've never put these on before.
Yeah.
I
Never
might
take them
just
off.
keep 'em.
Yeah,
Like a
there you
saxophone.
go. We've had people on this set just wear sunglasses all show.
Yeah, you're supposed to I have a few pairs of my own Shady Rays, but you're supposed to leave these specifically ones here. Not happening.
No,
Wow.
they're yours.
These are mine now.
Yeah, see, I was telling you, sometimes you're a bad boy, Ryan, on this set.
That's weird.
It's a compliment, you know.
Yeah,
Just
Todd
like,
is rolling
like
over.
isn't Hufanga and Greenlaw, aren't they bad boys on the
Bad
football
men.
field?
Let's go men.
Bad men?
Yeah.
Am I not allowed to say that about him?
It just feels weird
It
from
did.
you specifically, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, you're bad boy. I'm like,
Yeah, well,
just bad
that-
men.
Even hearing you say that made it worse somehow.
It did.
Yeah, now the Toyota chat's getting after me. So I guess we'll move on there and continue to talk about this bright future. We're going to get to Evan Engram in a second. But, guys, the news of the past 24 hours is the Broncos have not signed Evan Engram yet, but they have signed a couple of other guys. One guy from outside of their organization. They went out yesterday afternoon and made the signing of Trent Sherfield, wide receiver, special teamer. Some people say he's a Josh Reynolds replacement. Other people say he's a Tremon Smith replacement. They signed him to a 2-year, $6 million deal with the potential to get up to $8 million. Henry, who is Trent Sherfield?
He's your Tremon Smith replacement. He's a gunner. He plays special teams. Honestly, going back and watching some, he's probably not quite as good as Tremon was. But, you know, it's also true that up until these past couple of years, he's probably still focused on, like, the wide receiver career and trying to, like, break through there. Made more plays last year than the year before. I think Pro Football Focus had him graded as, like, the 21st best special teamer in all of college football, or NFL. Not college football, which is a step in the right direction. But
How many are there? Do you know? Like 21st out of
Oh,
is it like thousands?
everybody.
Like, so hundreds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably 40 a team, 30 a team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good then.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just that, again, like Tremon Smith was incredible. Like he would give you safeties by just pinning guys at the one. The way it works is like the return team is going to have 2 jammers on one side, 1 jammer on the other. And he would just fight through those double teams over and over and over again and get down the field and go get him. And like that's a high standard to live up to. At the same time, like you kind of got your pick of like which one of these guys you want to take that role. You went with a guy who ran like a 4.45, like strong, 6'1", like. We'll see how it goes. Like I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, the Broncos wanted Tremon Smith back. They
Yeah.
tried to get him, but he decided to go back to Texas, to the Texans. That's where he came from originally, from the Broncos, and he got a little bit more money than Sherfield. Tremon, I think, got $3.75 million per year. Sherfield gets $3 million. But yeah, Henry, I agree with you. This is more of the Tremon Smith signing than it is the Josh Reynolds signing. When the Broncos signed Josh Reynolds last year, he was coming off, a 700-yard season, a couple bad drops in the playoffs, but he was a wide receiver, 700 yards pretty much year in and year out. Sherfield last year brought in 98 receiving yards, so you're not going to be asking him. He had 8 catches last year for 98 yards, something like that. He does have one season over 100 yards. That was a couple years ago with the Dolphins. He actually had over 400 yards, so there is a potential for him to be a receiver, but when you view this, pretty much look at it through a special teams lens.
I've got 2 pieces of elite analysis for you guys. It starts with this. I've heard that name before.
That's good.
Which is,
That's really good.
Like when you get like a special team where you're usually just like, okay, yeah, just going to have to trust what they're saying about him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like maybe like an announcer has like waxed poetic about him during a game. I was like, this guy just gets out there and does the dirty work. I can see that being the reason. Or maybe he has like a cool story that I heard.
Asking the wrong guy right
The
now.
other thing, have you noticed this trend that the Broncos have in guys they're signing where their last name is just 2 words combined? Greenlaw, Sherfield, potentially Stonehouse.
What about
Hufanga?
Yeah, I was gonna. That one might not.
Hufanga.
Yeah.
What about Strnad?
Yeah.
Yes, that is.
That actually
Stir,
is.
drink,
Oh
nod.
my
actually
God,
is.
you're right. I didn't even think about that.
You
Wow.
said it.
This is
I
crazy.
did say it, but it's because it's spelled. I was thinking about the spelling,
Yeah.
and it's not stir.
So if you're looking for other targets, Graham,
Stonehouse.
Engram.
Ing?
Yeah.
There's a stretch.
Yeah.
No, it works. It works.
Use
It better work.
check.
Yeah.
If you go juice check.
Use check.
Yeah.
That works.
Use does work.
Yeah,
Because
use.
I use a check.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't. But
Who's the biggest? Stephon Diggs is out there. Diggs? No. So Stephon Diggs won't be.
There's been some
Cooper. Cooper?
Who's Coop? Oh,
Amari.
Cooper.
I was thinking cup.
Well, no, like it's Cooper too.
Oh yeah, it would be Cup.
Cooper works too, though. It's like a
Yeah.
coo and then the per. So Cooper.
Yeah. See, this is the type of stuff that I bring to the show.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's good.
A lot of hate on Justin Strnad. I just don't understand why.
No.
Especially for this, like people were like upset about Tremon Smith leaving. For
Yeah.
the same reasons why you're really happy. You should be really happy that Justin Strnad is coming back. He is special teams ace, and a guy who can come in and give you quality depth. And I felt like
Very
last year
quality.
he really flashed because, like happens with a lot of guys who are drafted late in the draft, it took him a few years. And his first showing obviously was not good when he had to come in and play starter duties. This last year, I thought he did a great job at that.
Me too. Like he's so fast for that
Yeah.
role. And I'm talking like he's another one of those guys who honestly it's starting to feel like Sean Payton kind of has a type where it's not necessarily like the downhill like put a shoulder into an offensive lineman type. It's more like the free flowing sideline to sideline. But he's that same style of linebacker that like Dre Greenlaw is. I think Alex Singleton is. Cody Barton is. Again, like they're different levels to that, but it's kind of that same archetype. And I think did I say that word right?
Nope.
Damn.
Archetype.
Archetype. I went hard on the E. But no,
I'm
I
glad
think
you noticed.
yeah, it's the first time I said it
Self-awareness.
out loud. I wrote it for the first time a couple days ago, and I was like, eh. So I tried. Not a word for me. But no, I think it's great that he's back. I think again, your backup spot, it's a battle between him and Drew Sanders, and you get the guy with the upside, the guy who's been around the league a bit and knows what's up. It's a great combo.
So I want to talk Evan Engram. Do we have time for that right now?
Yeah. Well, someone in the.
Is that a real thing?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, I think that looked like a troll.
Yeah.
But Tony Bigatoni said it.
Well,
That was your first giveaway.
Come on, Tony Bigatoni. That's got to be a real
Tony
guy.
Bigatoni has 41 followers.
Okay.
Yeah, and now he's gonna get a bunch more because we said his name on the podcast.
Yeah, it's really true. So don't pay attention to him. Really quick though,
But it's Tony Bigatoni.
Before we jump into Evan Engram, Justin Strnad, anyone that doesn't like this move 100% disagrees with the Denver Broncos because the Denver Broncos love him so much so they doubled his over doubled his salary from last year. He signed a 1 year $1.3 million deal with $700,000 guaranteed last year. This year it's $2.7 million fully guaranteed.
Yep.
So they said, you are getting all of this money right now. You don't have to worry about making the team. You're making the team. And guys, he had 3 sacks last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing how the Broncos got sacks. It was from everywhere. DeAndre Tillman had 5. Jonah Ellis, the youngest player in the NFL to have 5 sacks last year. And then Justin Strnad adds 3. Justin Strnad had 80 tackles last year, only starting half of the game. So I absolutely love this move for the Broncos as well. And we might be getting into the area of free agency where like the Broncos have signed all the big guys that they're going to sign outside of one potentially. So the moves that you should expect moving forward are signing the backups. I think the Broncos have 4 more unrestricted free agents that are still on the market. They may try to bring some of those back. Some of those guys may leave. We'll circle back to those guys that have left and that are still on the market for the Broncos in just a minute. But Ryan, you want to dive into some Evan Engram talk?
Need it in my life.
Okay, well, I need to give a shout out to our friends over at Lucy, because some people need nicotine in their life, and the people that do need to go to Lucy because
Great way to celebrate the new league year.
Oh, great. Throw one in right at 2 p.m. And then you have the little breaker pouch that pops open. Maybe that's what pops open at 2 p.m. Gives you that little extra flavor burst, hydration burst that you need to celebrate the new year. And the great thing about Lucy, so many different flavors. Plus, they so many different strengths as well, so it can suit whatever you're looking for. If you're new into the nicotine game, if you've been in it for a while, they've got stronger flavors. They're going to give you 20% off your first order by going over to lucy.co/DNVR. That's lucy.co/DNVR. Then use that code DNVR over at Lucy to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind, so you don't have to worry about if you're going to like it or not. They're going to take care of you there. That's lucy.co, and use that code DNVR to get 20% off. It's 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco free. So check them out, lucy.co/DNVR. And here comes a fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Volo. This doesn't only apply to these demos, but if you are single, new to town, both, or none of those, but especially those ones, Volo is an unbelievable way to meet people.
Yeah. Your wife is playing Volo right now. Not you, talking to all of you out there.
Your future wife.
Yes, your future wife.
Your future wife is at Volo. And the cool thing is, like, you're meeting people who are active, you're meeting people who are local, you're making friends with this, and you can go as a free agent if you don't have anyone to create a team with. You can just show up as a free agent and get paired up with someone. You can show up for drop-ins and just play with people. There's, pickleball leagues, there's volleyball leagues, there's basketball leagues, there's even cornhole leagues. Anything that you have fun with in the summer, you can find it over at Volo. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and I don't fit either of those demographics of single and or new to town. But I see other people who are in those demos, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect for them. And it's also perfect for me because I just want to be more active. So shout out to our friends over at Volvo. Players can sign up as a free agent, small group, full team, and all ability levels and backgrounds are welcome to join. Use code DNVR10 for 10% off any Volo Denver league.
All right, let's jump into the Evan Engram news. On Sunday night, he was in Denver at Shanahan Steakhouse. Broncos coaches wined and dined him. He slept in Denver on Sunday night, woke up, went to the Broncos facility all day Monday, and it was only a matter of time until he was going to sign with the Broncos, right, guys?
That's what I thought.
Then he got out of the building and left. And not just left without a contract. Yesterday, he spent the day in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Evan, what are you doing, man?
It's messed up.
Is it so messed up where the Broncos are just like, no, we're done with you? Or do you still want him back?
I almost think he was doing it to tease the Broncos into upping their offer.
Yep.
Which is low-key kind of genius.
Yeah.
It feels like, because he also left there without a contract.
Yep.
So to me, it feels like maybe he thinks his market's a little higher than the NFL does. But if you're the Broncos and your options are pay him an extra $1 million a year or let him go to the Chargers, you pay him the extra $1 million a year.
Yeah, and I'd imagine like if you're going to Denver first, probably means that Denver's your first choice. Like if you went through like the list of teams and thought like, you know what, I really like the Broncos, I'm gonna go to LA first and just see what's up. That doesn't really make sense. So I think it probably is just about the money, and the money didn't work out with the Broncos. He gets to go shop around, and odds are if they say, yep, we'll give you $13.5 million a year for 3 years, he gets to come back to the Broncos and say, they're offering this, will you match it?
And also, the Broncos are so desperate. He knows that he holds the cards in this because he knows he's the number one tight end in free agency, and then there is a massive drop-off. And now there's an even bigger drop-off because so many guys are off the board. You saw Mike Gesicki re-sign with the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. Who else? There was another big re-signing on Sunday.
Johnson.
But then Juwan Johnson was yesterday, and he saw the contract Juwan Johnson got and is probably thrilled he didn't sign with the Broncos on Monday because Juwan Johnson got a way bigger deal than at least I was expecting. I think that than a lot of people were expecting. Juwan Johnson, the tight end from the Saints who played with Sean Payton a little bit but really developed, had his best year last year, which was 500 receiving yards as a receiving tight end. He got 3 years, $10 million a year, so $30 million in total for a guy that had 500 receiving yards last year. Evan Engram 2 years ago had 114 catches and just under 1,000 yards. Now, it's probably unrealistic for Evan Engram to ask for $20 million a season, but my guess is he wants way more than the deal that Juwan Johnson got.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. The Broncos have to ask themselves, like, what production would be worth that money? Would you say that 75 catches for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns is worth $13 million?
Yes.
Yeah, for 13.
In part because you're a little bit desperate, but yes. I would say just do it. Pull the trigger, make it happen, because the Broncos haven't had anything like that in a while.
For a 3-year contract.
Yeah. Again, like his averages per 17 games in his career, it's 78 catches for 775 yards.
Wow.
So it'd be a disappointment if that's the case. And if you just go past 3 years in Jacksonville, the averages shoot up to 827 yards from 775.
Is that per 17 games or per
17
season?
games.
Yeah. So then that's where the Broncos would come in and say, like, okay, yeah, per game you're good, but last year you only played half the games.
And he says, in the 4 previous seasons, I missed 2 total games.
And then he also says, and the Chargers want me. So what are you going to do? You going to give me the deal or no?
Is there any other avenues the Broncos could explore other than the draft for adding at tight end, such as like a trade?
There is. There's a couple. And one that popped up in the past couple of days. Ryan, you know this guy very well. Dallas Goedert is potentially on the market. There's some rumors floating around that all it would take is a 4th-round pick to get Dallas Goedert.
What are we talking about here?
I completely agree. I think you do that deal right. How old is Dallas? Late 20s, early 30s?
30.
30 on the dot.
Yep, and so he'll be like 4 months younger than Engram.
Oh, so then, yeah. You absolutely considering this.
I mean, I'd call them an offer a third right now just to get it done.
And it probably would get done. Do you know what his contract is, Henry?
Not off the top of my head.
He has 1 more year as he's an unrestricted free agent next year.
Okay.
And he's making about $4 million a year right now.
Oh, okay. So you trade a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Sorry, $12 million. My bad. Yeah,
you trade
12.
a 3rd or 4th round pick for him, and then you re-up him to whatever deal Mark Ingram's going to or Evan Engram is going to get. So you give him a 3-year, $45 million contract. Would both of you do that right now? Trade a 4th round pick and give him that deal?
Yes, I would.
100%.
Yeah, I would as well. Last year, he only played in 10 games, but had 500 receiving yards. The year before that, played in 14 games, had 600 receiving yards. The year before that, played in 12 games, had 700 receiving yards. The year before that, 14 games, 830 receiving yards.
A little more well-rounded of a tight end than Evan Engram.
Much more, yeah.
So, but I do think it's interesting, though. Again, missed 7 games this year, missed 3 games the year before, missed 5 games the year before that, missed 2 the year before that, missed 5 the year before that. Like, this is the guy who misses consistent time,
Right.
whereas Evan Engram didn't. And he is more well-rounded. I don't think Sean Payton cares about that. I personally love a well-rounded tight end who, like, is, to me, more of a mismatch because you have to worry about him more in the running game. Sean Payton doesn't care. Like,
more well-rounded tight ends.
Yes, the rounder the better. But I think I think the slight increase in production receiving wise from Engram combined with the better track record of being healthy and like the age difference not being that big, I would not be surprised if Sean said I'd rather have Engram than Goddard.
He's definitely more of a joker.
Yeah.
I don't even like saying it.
Yeah.
I
There's our one
love
for the
it when
day.
you guys say Joker.
I like it when we're talking basketball.
That's true.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm falling for the trap of more well-rounded tight end seems better to me.
I agree.
Especially, as we're trying to up the running game and whatnot. But I'd be happy with either guy. I think that having this on the table and maybe even floating it out helps the Broncos in having a little bit of leverage with Evan Engram because he's playing the game like he has all the leverage right now.
Yep.
So the Broncos, even if they could get, an insider like Zach Stevens to post, Broncos are interested in a deal for Dallas Goddard, then maybe they gain some of that.
You're saying I could be tricked like that?
I'm just saying if I were them, I would want that floated.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And then there's another guy, too, which, Ryan, the Broncos might try to use to their leverage as well. Mark Andrews. Now, again, rumors that he could be cut. Rumors that he could be traded potentially. And this is another guy, 29 years old, going to turn 30 midway through the season this year, and everyone knows how productive Mark Andrews is, but also there's injury concerns there. This past year, he did play in all 17 games. The year before that, played in 10 games. The year before that, played in 15. The year before that, played in 17. So really, 2023 is the big outlier. He's a pretty healthy guy for the most part, and we know that he's productive. Last year, 673 receiving yards. In the year he only played 10 games, he still had 544 receiving yards. Year before that, 847 receiving yards. And the year before that, a career year, 1,300 receiving yards on 107 catches and 9 touchdowns. Any of these guys would be a massive upgrade. And almost, to me, guys, I think it's like a necessity. The Broncos have to get one of these guys, or else it puts them in a spot where it's so obvious what they're doing in the first round. And then every team will know, okay, we have to get ahead of the Broncos at 20 if we want Colston Loveland, if he's still on the board, or Tyler Warren. And they will just know how desperate the Broncos are. And the Broncos were in this desperate situation 48 hours ago with Dre Greenlaw on the board. It was very clear how much they wanted an inside linebacker, and Dre Greenlaw was the only guy left. And he had all the power. And to my understanding, what got them over the top to get that deal was they said, we'll give you a 3rd year on your contract. And a lot of teams didn't want to do that with his injury history. The Broncos went there. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not even like, okay, we'll give you $18 million a year. It's, we'll give you $13 million a year, but we're going to give you 3 years or 4 years and guarantee 2 or 3 of them on top of it. The Broncos just showed us that they're willing to show that they're a little desperate to cover that hole up. I think they'll do it with tight end as well.
I just don't get why people are acting like older tight ends is like a bad thing.
Agreed.
Like, just look at Zach Ertz and Jaden Daniels last year.
Yeah.
I mean, dude absolutely unlocked a whole other part of that offense.
Yeah.
And young tight ends, which I'm not against drafting a tight end, although I'm kind of against drafting a tight end in the first round. Young tight ends, save for Brock Bowers, who's obviously a huge exception, usually take a few years to get into that. When you watch an NFL game and there's a savvy veteran tight end on the other team, there's just plays that they're making over and over. I mean, we know it better than anyone watching Travis Kelce work.
Yeah.
Like that, having a savvy veteran tight end is a huge help for a young quarterback.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, just look at George Kittle. with Brock Purdy and what he's been able to do. Last year, George Kittle, the third leading tight end in the NFL, he had over 1,100 yards, and he's 31 years old. Or was 31 years old in that season as well. So, I mean, there's so many examples of older tight ends. You know who the fourth leading tight end in receptions was this past year? Or in terms of receiving yards?
Jonnu Smith.
Impressive. I definitely wouldn't have got that. Good job there.
Are you
Henry.
looking at it right now?
Are you
No,
cheating?
I would never.
Oh, you cheater. He's 29 years old.
Yeah.
And he had almost 900 receiving yards as well. So to your point, I mean, an older tight end. And also, this is the Broncos' window to compete right now. They're showing us that they're going all in on the defensive side. They don't need a tight end for the next 10 years. As good as that would be to have one for the next 10 years, they need one for right now.
Yeah. I completely agree. And as much as the Brock Bowers thing was really impressive, really impressive, it's much more of an outlier in terms of how young tight ends do.
Like Sam Laporta did it too, but it's like that very short list. And then like Kyle Pitts, 1,000 yards as a rookie, Pro Bowl, declined since then.
Which is the opposite of what normally happens.
Exactly. And so like you have a couple of those guys where it's like you hit on them, but for the most part, you want like a 29 or maybe on average like a 30-year-old tight end. And if you get a guy who's sign him now, he's 30, you give him 3 years, he'll be 31, 32, 33. That's just as good to me as 27, 28, 29. Like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Man, if Evan Engram signs with the Chargers instead of the Broncos, he is going to be so hated in Broncos country. From going from like a guy who like no one really cared about to then like so hated twice a year every time the Broncos play him. It's because Broncos, I feel like Broncos fans were more excited about that news when it came out than any other news that we've had over the past 72 hours because of what he can be.
And people
in Sean
love
Payton's offense. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And also people love the Joker position. They love talking
they
about
love
it,
Bo
guys. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, when we made our big boards, like who would you call first in free agency? My number one was Evan Engram because he's just the perfect fit. Perfect. Like I like that he's older. I like that he's experienced.
They called him even before.
Yeah, because which was an oversight on my part when I made the board. Because I realized after, like, well, they could just talk to him right now because he's a free agent. But yeah, I mean, it would be perfect. Again, like maybe technically Joker isn't quite the right term because usually you think of like the seam stretcher, and at this point he is more so like your release valve underneath. It's a lot of like sitting short and running after the catch or like take a screen. But I mean, you're close enough that what he would provide is so valuable.
It just, it seems so obvious. Like someone in the comments there said, if he signs with LA, the Broncos drop the ball if he signs with LA. And it's going to feel that way for sure. It's the GM's job and, all the people who work the books to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And if you constantly go past your line in the sand, then you end up overspending everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I think the Broncos already went past their line in the sand once.
And maybe twice.
In this free agency. And someone whose job is to keep a level head is sitting back there saying, guys, come on. We can't keep doing this. And Sean Payton might just be like, yes, we can.
he might. And again, like at the end of the day,
has a
like
track record of that.
If you wind up giving him an extra $5 million, it's not going to be the end of the world. Like over the course of like the next 3 years, you're out $5 million.
But eventually you end up with a roster full of guys that you gave an extra $5 million.
You do it 5 and then 10 and then 15 and then 12. It does add up, but they're just, when things are going so well, you nailed those first two guys. Like all you need now is just some juice on offense. There's one guy at your weakest position who's right there. You can just add him. Like it just seems like it's worth a slight overpay again.
And rookie quarterback.
Yep.
That's the time to do it.
Final year of the rust thing, so you have more space coming next year.
Do you guys believe the cap is fake?
Yes.
No, it's not fake. Fake is just the wrong word. Like people say cap is fake. It's not fake.
You're right. It's just not real.
The way, I mean, it's just a weird thing where, again, like technically the Broncos have $280 million to use this year, but really the way it works is it's the total of all of the salary cap space you've ever had because it rolls over versus the total amount of money you've always had. And so that, first of all, makes it not make much sense. And then on top of it, you have the fact that you can push your debts into the future almost indefinitely. And so you still have ways to, like, it does catch up to you, obviously. Like, you look at the Saints being $50 million over the cap this year. You look at the 49ers and what they've pinned themselves into, having to cut some guys, let guys walk. So the answer isn't fake. It's just that it's like it's dumb or like it's
Very manipulable.
It is, yeah.
So do you agree that for a short period of time, Henry, the cap is fake?
Honestly,
No.
For a long period of time, like look at the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also look at the Saints. They're continuing to try to kick the can down the road,
Yeah.
and they still are able
From
to
the
build
Sean
the roster.
Payton original
Exactly.
And that's the thing.
So my point here, and why I asked you guys that, and you're right, everything you said is right, Henry. But I think for a short period of time, and it's easy to say like the cap is fake and just throw it out and joke about it, but like it is so manipulatable that especially for a short period of time, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
the Broncos could sign these contracts. They could sign everyone in free agency, to an extent, and give them big contracts and have the cap hit be $2 million this first year, and then kick so many down the road, and then do a lot of void years at the end. And Sean Payton will not be with this team forever. And so I understand why he does what he did with the Saints. It's like, hey, man, this is my window to win right now. I truly believe I can win, and I'm doing this in the best interest of the organization to win a Super Bowl now, and then I will just leave when the situation gets bad. Like, that is probably going to happen here, and you have to ask yourself, are you okay with that? Are you okay with the Broncos going all in to win a couple of Super Bowls? And it's not just for these next couple of years. It's for a 10-year window right now, but there could be some bad years at the end of it, but hell yeah, you have an opportunity right now. You do that, and I think that's what the Broncos are going to do.
I think the Sean Payton window is to the end of Bo Nix's rookie contract. And I honestly think, just based on the things that we've seen, when he met with the Punters about taking his job in the first place, he told them, I'm getting rid of Russ. We're going to draft a rookie quarterback next year. And before that rookie quarterback's time is up, I'm going to win at least one Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then I'm going to ride off into the sunset. And I think at that time they were just like, yeah, that sounds pretty damn good.
Yep. Especially from what we just had
Yeah.
with Nathaniel Hackett when we took over in this mess.
Yeah. And so I think that he's always been here for a good time, not for a long time. And it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. And
The only pushback I'd have for you is when the Broncos played the Saints in New Orleans, a Saints reporter after the game said, Sean, what's it like arguably playing your last game here? And he said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, the Broncos only come here once every 8 years. And, now with your age and stuff. And he said, oh, I'm doing this for a long time. This isn't my last time here.
No shot, bro.
wow.
No
You don't think
shot.
he has 8 years in him?
No.
I think he does. I think he does.
No.
I think he's going to be here for like I think again like Bo Nix's career is going to basically be with Sean Payton. And if
You
things
think
don't go well,
Sean
maybe-
Payton is going to be the coach of the Broncos when I'm in my 40s?
Well, I think
Yes, I do.
40s, you're 33.
That's
Yeah, I'll say
crazy,
yes. I'll say
bro.
yes. I'd go, but yeah.
My unborn child's first Broncos favorite coach will be Sean Payton.
Yes.
Sean Payton
Yes.
is,
Yeah, it's pushing it. It's right on the line.
well, Sean Payton's 61, and Pete Carroll, who's the oldest, is 74.
He's
Yeah.
Sean's the youngest coach in the AFC
Yeah,
West.
so
He's
How
also
crazy
the
is that?
fourth. He's also the fourth
Impossible.
oldest in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah.
So the oldest coaches are all in the AFC
I think
West.
all four of the oldest are all AFC West.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. But going back to the salary cap thing, basically the way it works is, and again, so like the Saints were at the forefront of all of it, like coming up with the void years and all these like hacks. It was kind of this big experiment, and what they found was that like you get to pick maybe 5 years where you just want to say, F the cap, we're gonna do whatever we want, and then kind of make up for that on the back end, and they probably overdid it. But the reason they did was because Drew Brees was at the end of his career. And so like when Drew Brees is there at like 35, you're just like, well, how could we not just mortgage the future a little bit and take advantage of the fact we have Drew Brees? But then he just kept playing. So it's like he's there at 35, 36, 37, 38. And you're just like, well, we did it last year. How do we not do it? And so they wound up overdoing it. I think that what Sean did there isn't necessarily a sign of what Sean is always like, but what Sean thought of that particular situation. And so with that urgency, I think that factored into those decisions.
Well, I do think he's doing that here though too, because we had never seen John Elway never used void years on
No.
contracts, and Sean, they started doing it right when he got there, which is kind of kicking the can down the road, spreading things out so you can sign
Yeah.
more players.
It's
and-
also unique when you're taking that Russ cap hit though, because in some ways it's a way to spread that over like 4 years instead of just the 2.
I think this is Sean's DNA.
Okay.
I think he is someone that never wants to rebuild, that always wants to go all in. And now
True.
you're right about him utilizing the end of Drew Brees' career to do that. But now I think he sees this as a similar opportunity. Like, man, we got 3 years where we don't have to pay Bo Nix. This is our time to win. And that's like historically when teams do have successes in that rookie window. And so maybe we see a little bit of the Broncos don't go all in 7 years from now. With Sean, I just think that's how he's built.
He's never going backwards
Yeah.
with the Broncos, I don't think.
Yeah. But that's why he hasn't quite hit the gas the way he did with the 49ers, with the Saints, and the way that they were restructuring things. Like, he's doing some of that stuff, but it isn't the full on, like, let's just go crazy.
I don't think he thinks they're quite there yet.
I
When
agree.
he thinks that I just got to press this pedal a little bit harder and we're going to win the Super Bowl, he's going to do it.
Guys, I think he just did that the last 48 hours.
I think he's getting there.
Yeah.
He's accelerating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I think you also look at like a team like the Chiefs, though, where it's like they're doing that same thing, where it's just like we're just going to keep pushing back this Patrick Mahomes money over and over again, because what he's going to be 30 this season. His cap hit's only 38 million. Next year it's set to be 75 million. Guess what they're going to do? Kick it down again. Kick it down again. And the year he leaves, it's going to be like, oh, we've got $150 million in dead cap that we've just been pushing off all this time. F it, like. What were we gonna do? Like,
right.
That's what I'm saying.
It's Patrick Mahomes.
The cap, not fake, but it is so manipulable.
It's a
Sean
hard
is
word.
going to start doing this. I think he's already started doing this, and he's just going to do it for 15 years until he's gone.
Yeah, but to me, he's
15
just
years.
And
at
that's
this
okay.
point, it's like the 15, 20 miles per hour, not like the. Or maybe it's even more than that. It's like
think we
the
hit
35
50.
miles an hour, not like the pedal down, we're going 90 on the freeway.
In terms of all in, though, I think the Broncos
Like the
are
Taysom
showing
Hill.
they're all in right now, though. I truly do think they are, with Greenlaw, with Hufanga. And then if they
There's not a lot of other moves to be all in right now.
Ingram, that would be it.
Right. That's what I
Yeah.
mean, though. It's like, it's not like there's a Christian McCaffrey out on the market and it's just like, okay, like we're going to pay him a bunch of money just because we're going for it, kind of like the 49ers did. They're making like aggressive moves. They're, especially on the offensive side of the ball, there wasn't a bunch of guys out there. There's no T. Higgins. Like,
No. There was a Chris Godwin, but Sean Payton wasn't going to pay another receiver because they expect to re-sign Cortland Sutton, give him a big deal. The two more all-in moves they could do this year, and then literally there would be nothing more that they could do, in my opinion, is sign Evan Engram, do what it takes to pay him, and then the other thing would be to trade up to get Ashton Genty. I don't think they would trade a future first-round pick to move up for him, but like if you're going all in,
how high are
that's
you
this
trading
team.
up?
How high would the Broncos trade up?
Yeah, like,
I
because if
don't-
you're not giving a future first, then
I think they would trade up to 16, 17, give a third-round pick. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think Sean would do that.
To me, though, like the all-in move would be like restructuring contracts to clear space to sign even more guys, or like not trading a first-round pick to go get Nash and Genty, but trading a first-round pick to be like Bijan Robinson. We're gonna sell the farm and just be like all in. To me is trading picks for veterans or signing like 1-year deals for
What the Avs are doing
33. Exactly. That's all. Like that's mortgaging the future. To me, it's not all in unless like. You're looking at your future assets being like, oh no, we're in trouble here. And right now you still look at the cap space and say like, they're doing just fine next year and the year after. There's nothing to worry about. You look at the future picks and it's like, they're still all there. All in to me is like, oh, we've got one first round pick the next 3 years. We're all in. F it. Like, again, that's where we are.
sign me up for that Bijan Robinson deal.
Yeah. I wonder what that would take. They do have Algier. Like, if you give them 2 first, they'd be crazy not to take it.
It would be crazy to
That's
do
just a
that
name
because
out
of
of
how
nowhere.
good this running back draft class is
It
right
would.
now.
It would.
It would be crazy.
But if you're gonna take one in the first, I'd rather just have Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. And again, like it's
yeah, and that wouldn't get it done though. Just a first.
rookies are a gamble. If you're saying we're Super Bowl or bust
That's
here,
what he
we're
said. That's why I said sign me
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's probably not like. There's probably a better name, but that's just the first one that came to mind.
I don't know, and I think we're just gonna have to agree to disagree
Yeah.
on this. Like, I do think Sean Payton is going more all in than anyone thought that they were going to this year with Greenlaw, with Hufanga. They had 2 holes on defense, and they just plugged them both with 2 of the best guys on the market, arguably. So we'll see what they do with Ingram. If they're able to land him, man, I can tell you Broncos country is going to explode with excitement. Looking at some of the other moves that the Broncos have made or haven't made. We talked about the punter situation. Guys, Javonte Williams, speaking of that running back position, no longer a Bronco. He signed a 1-year, $3 million deal with the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys fans are thrilled.
Are they actually?
No.
Yeah, no, I didn't think. Wasn't that their first signing, too,
Yep.
of all of free agency?
Yep.
Because the Dallas Cowboys just don't spend money in free agency, which is just crazy. What do you think about Javonte to the Cowboys?
It's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how I feel, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good pickup for him.
I'm sad that Javonte never became who he looked like he was going to be in Denver. And, you blow up your knee, that's going to happen.
And I still think he can get back to himself. Like, sometimes it just takes some time. The Broncos are just in a situation where
It took
like,
Cortland Sutton a long time to get back to himself.
And that's where it's like the Broncos just weren't in a situation to be like, let's try this one more time. You just had to change things up and go somewhere else. For the Cowboys, who like don't really have much of a path there, that's a good chip to have. It's like I think there's a 50-50 chance that he just bounces back and is like a 1,000-yard rusher or whatever you qualify as like a good season. So yeah, it's a good pickup for him.
Javonte had one of his best games of his career against the Cowboys
Sure did.
with Vic Fangio. That was when Quinn Miners was like just pushing him down the field 10 yards. And the Broncos
unstoppable
had
in that
massive, totally unstoppable. So I see why the Cowboys had their eyes on him. Cody Barton signed with the Titans, and a lot of people might be like, okay, see ya. Well, what this move shows me, it's how good of a deal Dre Greenlaw was. And I don't remember if I said it on this show or if it was on the emergency show that Henry and I did. Cody Barton got 3 years, $21 million. Cody Barton got $7 million a year. Broncos got Dre Greenlaw for $11 million. Yep. This shows how good of a deal Dre Greenlaw is, and honestly, how good of a deal the Broncos have for Alex Singleton, because Singleton's making $6 million.
What was Barton making last year?
2.5, 3?
I believe so. Yes, because now Strnad takes that role. Yep.
By the way, that's just another good sign of your football team.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're bringing in guys on shorter deals for lesser money, and then they're leaving for more, and you're replacing them. Just that cycle is a good thing. You'd like to obviously keep guys, but Cody Barton is a perfect example of like he came in and got to fill in on a really good defense and made him look good, and then he went and got a lot more money somewhere else.
That's such a good point.
Yeah. Again, I think it's a good pickup for them too. Like I think he's a good player who's going to fit there pretty well.
And then another guy the Broncos lost. So many Broncos fans didn't want to see this guy leave, but Zach Wilson is now going to the Miami Dolphins. And this is a very good situation for him. Zach Wilson, why the Broncos always thought Jarrett Stidham was going to come back is because everyone thought that Zach Wilson was going to get a better opportunity to play. There was no opportunity to start in Denver with Bo Nix. Well, now he goes to a place where he's not going to be competing for a starting quarterback job, but he is going to have an opportunity to potentially play just with Tua's unfortunate injury history. He's going to have a chance, and he's getting $6 million to go down to Miami and play when Tua's out. And honestly, I like this signing for the Dolphins because who were they turning to when Tua got hurt? They were turning to Skylar Thompson. They were signing guys in free agency.
Josh Johnson? No, that was the 49ers.
Mike White for a bit.
Mike White, might as well have an opportunity to throw Zach Wilson and see if you can do anything. If you have to play backup quarterback, might as well be a guy with super high upside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I mean, if you're the Broncos, $6 million a year for Stidham, $6 million a year for Zach Wilson. I might have gone the Zach Wilson route,
but I don't think Zach Wilson wanted that.
That's fair.
I wouldn't have.
Really?
Yep.
You would have gone with steady.
Yep. That's a backup quarterback through and through.
It is.
Yep. It is. It is.
He is.
I'm not against it.
Yeah. Okay, we got a couple of super chats that I want to hit before we get out of here.
Yes.
And once more, a shout out to the Twitter chat. Hit us with the thumbs up if you're tuning in. We really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Become a diehard over at thednvr.com. And the first super chat coming in from the great one says, off topic, Bo reminds me of Steve Young, not Drew Brees. Yeah, because of the feet, scramble ability.
Sure.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Bold, but sure. I can get behind it.
I can't do the righty-lefty comp.
That
It's
is
hard
tough
for me.
Yes.
Well, you flipped Michael Penix.
Okay, let's flip. Someone flip me some Steve Young
Yes.
highlights.
Yes.
Triple G says, I might be alone, but I really want Rico Dowdle. Of course, speaking of Dallas Cowboys running backs, he's a 1,000-yard running back for the Cowboys last year. If the Broncos sign him, Well, he's going to be like anyone else who they sign right now. He's kind of your 2, and then you're still hoping for one in one of the first rounds of the draft.
This is a me problem. It's just like so much easier for me to get excited about a young running back who hasn't done anything somehow than a guy who's like been solid.
Totally.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially when we don't know if it's a ceiling, but 1,000 yards. It's like, okay, that's good.
And just star running backs come from anywhere in the draft.
Yep. It's
Like
true.
superstars.
Yeah. Wyoming Cowboy says, even if they don't sign Evan Engram, there are good tight ends and running backs in the draft to be excited about. Feels like Sean and the Broncos have gone all in. I agree with you, Wyoming Cowboy. What
All
else
in will be Evan Engram for $13 million.
why it was so key the Broncos got, and we're going to go over to overtime to finish this one out. Go to thednvr.com to join us over there. Why it was so key the Broncos got Drake Greenlaw is the draft is weak at inside linebacker. They were not going to be able to fill that hole in the draft. But you can fill tight end and running back in the draft, so you don't have to get those positions. So it is a good point, Wyoming Cowboy.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I had the Broncos going Nick Bolton, Cam Bynum, Zach Ertz in free agency. It's looking like I'm going to be 0 for 3, but if they get Evan Engram, I'll at least nail the positions
3
that
for
they're
3
spending money. Yeah.
So there you go. Aiden Chisholm.
Yeah.
This will
be-
be fun.
Gotta be
It's my cousin. Well, it's right there.
Says Henry, remember the outdoors and sun are good for you. Looks like you haven't gone outside in months.
First day in shorts.
How
Yep,
dare
nope.
you not respond to my text
This one's
for
tough.
over
Nope,
a month?
Yep.
Terrible cousin, go Grizz.
Go Grizz for sure. Just to be clear, what are the texts? Last one was back the lines. What are we doing? It's like, yep, okay, fair enough. Going back to the telling Todd what a linebacker does.
Well, Aiden,
Backs the lines.
I will say
Which
it
I
makes you
thought-
feel better. Henry doesn't text me back either.
No,
so.
I'm not a texter. Like I got a
What
text.
do you do?
You sit inside and watch the Rockies.
No, I mean I watched a hell of a lot of Kyle Juszczyk yesterday, and I had a
Okay.
lot of fun doing it. For what it's worth, he not only will be taking Michael Burton's job, also Nate Adkins' job. Just kind of like a fun twist.
let's dive into Juszczyk tomorrow.
More tight end than fullback at this point in his career,
Wow.
which is an interesting twist that I hadn't realized. Other texts
Respond to
though,
your texts.
yeah. About time Jake Sanderson gets some love. Agreed.
Just hit it with the thumbs up.
I know, but I was drinking. I was in Winter Park. I was busy.
So you love your cousin Aiden.
Yeah, and mostly I love the Montana Grizzlies, who are in both Starch Madness championship games today.
Whoa.
Starch
Yes.
Madness, that
Northern
is
Colorado
so
is
funny.
one of them.
Oh, UNC, they
It's
had a
gonna be
big
a
win
fun one.
yesterday.
Go
yeah,
Grizz.
I think they won by like 27, and Montana won the semifinal by like 22.
Wait, aren't they both Grizz?
Nope, those are the Bears.
The Bears, you're
Yeah.
right.
So who's the real Northern Colorado
Wait.
fan here?
Grizz,
Just not
isn't
today.
a Grizz a grizzly bear?
It is.
Sure is, yeah.
So
It
they
is.
could both
It
be.
could be the same
I
kind of
think
bear.
if you're
Yeah.
going to be a bear and you want to be a grizzly, you definitely delineate that you're a
You
grizzly.
do.
Or they just want to own every type of bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's one bear that's
Seems like
best.
bear hoarding to me.
Yeah.
Well, we don't
Wow.
want any bear hoarding here.
Yeah.
We've got a special guest joining the show tomorrow. Let's dive into Cooper Kupp. Does he fit the Broncos? And our special guest is going to be a perfect person to break down the receiver position because he played receiver in the NFL for years. Stay tuned to our socials to find out who that's going to be. And stay tuned to thednvr.com where, Henry, I want to get in to your Kyle Juszczyk breakdown as well, see if he fits.
Speaking of texts, Lexi was asking me like should I send this email or should I send it as like a DM? I went back in the past 4 months. I've sent 4 emails. No, 6 months, 4 total emails.
I would be right on par with you.
Exactly. I was like, don't ask me about
Are you
emails.
guys kidding me?
No, like in what situation am I sending an email?
Do you send emails?
To anyone over the age of 32?
No.
I don't communicate with those
No.
people.
No, I don't email.
Wow.
How long was it since the start of the year?
Yeah.
Since the start of the year?
Oh, since the start of the year, I had 2, both to
6.
Kevin Clark.
I've got 10 since the start of the year.
Since
Oh,
the start
okay.
of this week, I
Okay.
have 4.
See, I even have
So
this
there we
thing.
go.
I can't figure out how to make it so that, because usually you can click the different mailboxes and like Gmail account versus but I don't know how to add that. Like,
Wow. I don't use a mail.
so I can't find my.
I don't
I had to
use it
ask her
either.
how to show me
Yeah.
how to see my sent emails.
Wow,
And
that's fair
I
then.
know I feel like an old man, but I can't find the damn button.
It's
Maybe Henry will find it by
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'll check in.
communicating via email is an antiquated exercise.
What about communicating via phone call?
Yeah, that's back in.
That's back in?
Yep.
What about FaceTime?
Yeah.
Are you a Russell Wilsoner?
I'm not.
I'm
I'm not.
personally
I don't. I get like an extra boost of dopamine though when someone else FaceTimes me. I'm like, oh, this is
Okay.
fun.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't do it myself.
like I FaceTimed you at the Super Bowl when I was getting you that belt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, look, belts, pick a belt.
Oh.
Because I forgot a belt and he forgot pants.
So I went to the pants store, which also sells belts.
Right. That's
Yeah.
Birds, one stone situation.
Wow,
It was
that's
really
impressive.
perfect. Yep.
Super Cup just got officially released.
And
Oh,
Cooper
emergency
Cup
pod? Keep it
is
going?
released.
How long till he's a Bronco?
Can he be
1 hour,
released
2
before
hours?
the league year?
Probably has to be before the league
Oh,
year.
okay.
Yeah, before
Before bonus
contracts
hits.
kick in. So stay tuned. Broncos sign Evan Engram. We'll be going live. If the Broncos sign Cooper Cup, we'll be going live. And if
Speaking
not,
of Big Sky,
Oh yeah, shout out
Yep.
Cooper Cup, Big Sky.
Eastern
probably watching.
Washington.
He's probably watching Starch Madness today.
Probably.
Maybe a future Bronco too. We'll have your news over at thednvr.com and DNVR_Broncos on Twitter, X, Instagram, over at DNVR Sports on Instagram. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. with a special guest.
We all silly like the mayor.